What is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity refers to a set of techniques used to protect the integrity of networks, programs, and data from attack, damage, and unauthorized access. It can also be defined as the protection of information assets by addressing threats to information processed, stored, and transported by inter-networked information systems. But why do we do cybersecurity? Well, it's due to technological advancement. Rate of cybercrime is increasing. Due to most of the trade and business online these days, there is an ever-increasing demand to protect this data. The presence of regional and global crime syndicates creates social engineering and ransomware concerns through stolen credentials and monies. Cyber armies, whether through nation-state actors or globally based large threat actors, have considerable resources and time to support vast techniques and procedures. And finally, financial frauds target banks, credit card industries, and retail chains to capitalize on large amounts of personal and financial data. Information security often refers to the processes and tools designed and deployed to protect sensitive business information from modification, disruption, destruction, and inspection. Cybersecurity, however, refers to a set of techniques used to protect the integrity of networks, programs, and data from attack, damage, or unauthorized access. Again, information security deals with information regardless of its format. It encompasses paper documents, digital and intellectual property in people's mind, or verbal or visual communication. Cybersecurity is a component of information security. Here's some statistics from recent trends that make cybersecurity more important. During the first 6 months of 2018, more than 25 million records were compromised or exposed every single day. 300 billion passwords are right now in existence or going to be in existence by 2020. Cybercrime is expected to cost $6 trillion by 2021. Over 24,000 malicious mobile apps are blocked daily. Healthcare industry ransomware attacks will be quadrupling over the coming years. More than 60% of fraud originates from mobile devices. Personal data is cheap. It sells for as little as 20 cents. 90% of hackers use encryption. Factors that affect cybersecurity. There are two main areas: technology and business plans, and general business deployment or environment. Under technology, we have platforms and tools that are used. Network connectivity, level of IT complexity, new or emerging security tools, and the operational support for security. On the business side, we have the business's risk tolerance. We have industry trends or industrial trends. We have mergers, acquisitions, and partnerships that affect. And finally, outsourcing service or providers. So let's talk about the CIA triad. C, confidentiality. The principle of confidentiality asserts that information and functions can be assessed only by those who are authorized or third parties. Example would be military secrets. Integrity, or I. The principle integrity asserts that the information and functions can be added, removed, or altered only by authorized people and processes. And finally, availability. The principle of availability asserts that the system, the functions, and the data must be available on demand according to the agreed upon parameters based on levels of service. So CIA. This triad is the basis for creating a holistic security plan to protect all of your organization's critical and sensitive assets. Introduction to governance, risk management, and compliance. Governance, risk management, and compliance of every organization is different and varies based on the type of organization. It depends on organization mission, size, industry, culture, and legal regulations. The ultimate responsibility of GRC program is to protect their assets and operations, including their IT infrastructure and information. Governance. It is the responsibility of the board of directors and senior management of the organization. A governance program has several goals: provide strategic direction, ensure that objectives are achieved, ascertain whether risk is being managed appropriately, verify that the organization's resources are being used responsibly. Under risk management, it is the process by which the organization manages risk to acceptable levels. Risk management requires the development and implementation of internal controls to manage and mitigate risk throughout the organization, including financial and investment risk, physical risk, and finally, cyber risk. And let's talk about compliance. It is the act of adhering to and the ability to demonstrate adherence to mandated requirements defined by laws and regulations. It also includes voluntary requirements resulting from contractual obligations and internal policies. Success of cybersecurity is ultimately the responsibility of the board of directors. The tone at the top must be conducive to effective security governance. Some of these roles are: from the top, board of directors, whether the CEO, president, or board members, must establish and adopt an overall security posture for the business. The executive committee is comprised of your executive leadership team that supports all functional areas of the business, for example, HR, marketing, finance, CIO. Your security management team is typically your Chief Information Security Officer, or CISO, or Information Systems Security Manager, or ISM, and will ensure information security strategy and objectives meet the overall business strategy and objectives. Finally, we have toward the bottom the cybersecurity practitioners. These cybersecurity experts are the ones who monitor and support the security of the business's information system. So let's look at approaches to cybersecurity. You can have three different ways: compliance based on security. This approach relies on regulations or standards to determine the security implementation. Risk-based cybersecurity. This approach relies on identifying the unique risk a particular organization faces and designing and implementing security controls to address the risks that you find. An ad hoc approach simply implements security with no particular rationale or criteria. So some of the key terms. Vulnerability is a cybersecurity term that refers to a flaw in a system that can leave it open to attack. A threat is something that may or may not happen, but has the potential to cause serious damage. Threats can lead to attacks on computer systems, networks, and much more. Threat agent is used to indicate an individual or group that can manifest a threat. Risk, the potential for loss, damage, or destruction of an asset as a result of a threat exploiting a vulnerability. Countermeasure or control is an action, device, procedure, or technique that reduces a threat, a vulnerability, or an attack by eliminating or preventing it, by minimizing the harm it can cause, or by discovering and reporting it so that corrective action can be taken. Assets, something of either tangible or intangible that is worth protecting, including people, information, infrastructure, finance, and reputation. Residual risk, even after all safeguards are in place, there will always be residual risk, defined as remaining risk after management has implemented risk mitigation or implemented their risk response. Inherent risk, the risk level or exposure without taking into account the actions that management has taken or will take. Correlation among different basic terms of cybersecurity. If a company has anti-malware software but does not keep its signatures up to date, this is considered a vulnerability. The threat is that a virus will show up in that environment and disrupt productivity. The company cannot eliminate the threat agent, but it can protect itself against this agent from exploiting vulnerabilities within the environment. Applying the right countermeasures or controls can eliminate the vulnerability and exposure and thus reduce the risk.